some Swifties now support Donald Trump.
Hi, my name is Jenna, and this picture of me in this Swifties for Trump shirt has been going viral on X and started kind of a movement in the Republican Party. I actually met Trump in this shirt in Racine on June 18th, and he said, quote, "She is great." I think this movement is super awesome, but also super important because it's no secret that millions of young female voters consider themselves Swifties. And we don't want them to have to choose between loving Taylor Swift and supporting their conservative ideologies at the ballot box in November. So I say we stop the hate towards Taylor and her fan base, and let's let Swifties be for Trump fearlessly.
Bring in a Taylor Swift to save Joe Biden. She just couldn't do it. Like, Taylor Swift could save Joe Biden. No, seriously, remember this news cycle?
President Donald Trump is facing some flack from Swifties, Taylor Swift fans, after posting images on social media alluding to the pop star's endorsement. The images posted on Truth Social feature Taylor Swift sporting the red, white, and blue, urging fans to vote for Trump, along with several Swifties wearing Trump shirts. But many watchdog groups say the images appear to be deep fakes generated by AI.
We called this out from a mile away. Taylor Swift was going to be used to save Joe Biden. Not even she could save him. Okay, Joe Biden said God himself couldn't get him out of the race. And well, you know what? They were able to get Joe Biden out of the race. Now U-Hauls are pulling up to the front of the White House. We don't even know what's really going on.
Swift has not endorsed a candidate in the 2024 election, and no one from her team has commented on the post.
But here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Taylor Swift was the plan all along. Taylor Swift was going to save Joe Biden in 2024. Taylor Swift endorsed Joe Biden in 2020. Taylor Swift has been used for propaganda before. She cooked cookies. She baked cookies for Joe Biden. Got it? In the 2020 election.
Trump is trolling for real now, guys, because we know that there's no way that Taylor Swift would endorse him. So back in 2020, Swift was a vocal critic of the former president, even tweeting about the U.S. Postal Service and how she doesn't want Donald Trump back in the White House. She's even gone above and beyond back then to endorse Joe Biden.
Then she went on some screechy screed about the U.S. Postal Service. This shows you how in the tank, how embarrassing all of this truly is. Trump's calculated dismantling of the Postal Service. Hey, can you believe this? These posts are still up.
And hey guys, before we get started, all I want to say is thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for sharing these videos on social media.
Trump's calculated dismantling of the Postal Service proves one thing clearly. He's well aware that we don't want him as our president. Ooh, man, so screechy. Goodness gracious. Trump's ineffective leadership is gravely worsened by the crisis that we are in right now, taking advantage to subvert and destroy our vote.
Biden appeared on Late Night with Seth Meyers on Monday night and discussed everything from his re-election efforts, Swift theories, and his age. There have been widespread conspiracy theories that the pop superstar and her boyfriend, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce, are part of a dark plot to help re-elect the U.S. president later this year. Biden said a potential 2024 endorsement by Swift is, quote, classified information.
It's classified.
It's classified information?
That's classified
You won't
information.
share it with us?
I'm not gonna, but I will tell you, she did endorse me in 2020.
You know, I got to tell you, I see a shocking lack of celebrities actually endorsing Kamala Harris. Like you don't see any A-listers. You see like supporting this current regime. You see like some like D-listers and some people who have no careers left. Mark Hamill has to like charge people $500 for an autograph at Comic-Cons. Like you don't see any like people that have actual careers.
Taylor Swift claimed that the Biden-Harris ticket would help the nation's quote-unquote healing process. Now, just for context, guys, within this term, illegal immigrant numbers have doubled to more than 20 million. Hundreds of businesses have closed down for good, and inflation is still a thorn on our sides. But yes, she saw this as a healing process for the United States. But we can't blame her though. One response to her tweet showed this photo. It's a meme about her making millions of dollars singing about her bad choices in men and then endorsing Joe Biden. Ooh, ouch. Now, Swift hasn't necessarily endorsed Kamala Harris either. Back in 2020, she was all in for Joe Biden. Even late last year, the message from the media was crystal clear. The expectation was that she would help save the president's campaign. And as evidence back then, she was used by the Democratic Party to help discredit Trump and boost Biden. Now, unfortunately for the president, he was ousted via an internal coup. And like I said a little while ago, Donald Trump, he likes to get under the skin of these people, and he does it pretty well, which is why earlier this year, he posted this on Truth Social. So in this one, he says that he was responsible for the Music Modernization Act that helped artists like Taylor Swift. This was more like a preemptive strike if Taylor Swift did endorse Joe Biden at the time for this year's election, something that didn't actually happen. And the former president is going directly at the people that don't like him, generating just so much talk about him on mainstream media yet again. Although there are fans of Taylor Swift that actually do support Donald Trump. It may just be a small percentage, but they're out there. And this comes after she had to abruptly end her European tour due to possible terrorist attacks.
Guys, I never saw this on my 2024 bingo card, but the Swifties are waking up. The Swifties. I never thought I'd see the day that Swifties were rallying for Trump. I guess something with ISIS happened. There's a lot of terrorism going on. I guess she had to shut down some shows because of it. And a lot of them are just saying, you know, if Trump was in office, this would have never, ever happened. She would be safe. There wouldn't be terrorism or wars going on because we had world peace before, and he'll do it again. So they're finally realizing it's not about race or gender or anything of that sort. It's about our safety and the policies and a secure border. And they're finally waking up, and it's wild to see. Like, I'm so proud.
But of course, they would just paint this all as some one-off situation, arguing that support for Trump among Swift fans doesn't exist. But that isn't the case though, because the shirt that's seen in the AI-generated images was taken from one that was actually made by a fan. So her name is Jenna, and her last name starts with a P, and I can't pronounce it, but she's a Trump supporter. So the idea from fans like her is that the world was a much safer place with Donald Trump as the president of our country, which would mean safer access to concerts, and it would have also led to Swift not ending her European tour way too short. However, President Joe Biden doesn't agree with this idea. He legitimately seemed pissed off about the notion that the world was safer under former President Donald Trump, at least compared to his term.
Many of you are very successful people who travel the world. Name me a country in the world that doesn't think we're the leading nation in the world. Without America, not a joke, think about it. I'm being literal. Who could lead the world other than the United States of America? But guess what? America's winning, and the world's better off for it. America's more prosperous, and Americans are safer today than under Donald Trump. Trump continues to lie about crime in America, like everything else. Guess what? On his watch, the murder rate went up 30%, the biggest increase in history. Meanwhile, we made the largest investment, Kamala and I, in public safety ever. Now, the murder rate is falling faster than any time in history. Violent crime has dropped to the lowest level of more than 50 years. And crime will keep coming down.
This concept, though, isn't as common to many Americans. Many people truly believe that the Biden-Harris administration took us back a couple of years, and the fear within some communities just can't be ignored. It's this concern that led to the entire movement that some Swifties now support Donald Trump.
Hi, my name is Jenna, and this picture of me in this Swifties for Trump shirt has been going viral on X and started kind of a movement in the Republican Party. I actually met Trump in this shirt in Racine on June 18th, and he said, quote, "She is great." I think this movement is super awesome, but also super important because it's no secret that millions of young female voters consider themselves Swifties. And we don't want them to have to choose between loving Taylor Swift and supporting their conservative ideologies at the ballot box in November. So I say we stop the hate towards Taylor and her fan base, and let's let Swifties be for Trump fearlessly.
Well, there you have it, folks. Mainstream media is going to paint this as a hoax, but you heard what this young lady said. You could be a fan of Taylor Swift and support Donald Trump at the same time. It would be unfair for these people if they couldn't vote for who they wanted to vote for because their idol told them not to. That shouldn't be the case here. Although we have yet to hear any response from Taylor Swift regarding this issue. In fact, she hasn't even talked about politics in a while. I think she's staying in her lane. And that's cool too. Many do expect her to get behind Kamala Harris, but it's kind of hard to tell at this point because she supported Biden back in 2020. She didn't say a word when Biden put in his name for the 2024 presidential election, and she didn't comment at all when he got ousted from the race. So I don't know. The odds of her supporting Donald Trump is probably close to zero, but nothing's impossible, right? Especially when you compare how bad things can get under a possible Kamala Harris term.
Kamala went full communist. You heard that? She went full communist. She wants to destroy our country. After causing catastrophic inflation, Comrade Kamala announced that she wants to institute socialist price controls. You saw that. Never worked before. Never, ever worked. This is the Maduro plan, Venezuela. Maduro plan of like the old Soviet Union. They tried it. How did the Soviet Union work out? It became Russia, a smaller version. It was a smaller version. It will cause rationing, hunger, and skyrocketing prices, just like their Inflation Reduction Act caused, one of the great scams of all time. They got it approved with a beautiful name, Inflation Reduction, because inflation under their system has been so bad.
But what do the experts have to say about the VP's economic plans? Because it's still a good idea to gather information and opinions from people who understand how all this stuff works, right? So here's what economist Kevin Hassett had to say about it.
Like, for an economist, this is about the most terrifying proposal I've ever seen, because what Kamala Harris is saying is that the government needs to set the price of things. And she's starting with food, but I guess if they're going to set the price of food, they might as well set the price of everything else. They've also come out, you might recall, the Biden administration saying that they want to set rents. They think rents are too high, so they're going to have the government decide what the rent for your apartment should be. This is absolute socialism, and it never ends well. If you go back and look at the countries that have tried this, like Cuba, Venezuela, Ukraine, back when the Soviet Union organized it, then it leads to famine and shortages. And I was just in Lisbon, Portugal, where they still have really aggressive rent control, and all of the apartments are empty because the people who own the buildings can't afford to rent them to people because the rent is so low. And so this is an absolute disaster. This is socialism at its highest. And the really chilling thing is that, think about it, it's right before the Democratic National Convention. She's the nominee. She should be trying to moderate her positions to appeal to swing voters. And instead, she's going all in on socialism. So what it means is these people really are that way. These people really believe in socialism. They want to change this country. And they're willing to say it, up front right now. And it's astonishing to me that she would do that.
Which really begs the question, what will her supporters say once they find out what she's trying to do to America? Like, what will swing state voters say about this? This reminds me that Kamala Harris's campaign called Trump lazy because he's supposedly not campaigning in swing states, an idea that was fact-checked by a Donald Trump supporter who posted dates and photos of Donald Trump's rallies in different swing states. As you can see, there's Michigan, North Carolina, Minnesota, and Georgia. And as you can see from the crowd size of these rallies, Donald Trump's not worried about how many supporters are showing up for Harris's free concerts, which kind of proves the point that the honeymoon phase for the VP's presidential campaign has now possibly come to an end. Now, speaking of which, the DNC just got greeted by protests, which led to President Joe Biden addressing it directly. Now, guys, I did a previous video where I talk about this in way more detail. Definitely check it out. This is one that you can't miss, as it's pretty evident that President Joe Biden, he's angry. He's angry about being removed from the ballot this year. Even brought him to tears. Anyway, guys, make sure you guys check that one out right after this one. Before I go, I just want to thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for sharing this video and subscribing. I'll see you on the next one.